As the kids head back to school, Alexa got a lesson on how to keep them healthy.
Last year was a challenging one for many, whether kids were doing virtual school or in person learning and wearing the masks. But COVID aside, one of the bright spots parents saw were few cases of colds and flu among kids. So, here to talk with us today is Camilla Galarakis, a nurse practitioner with Akron Children's Hospital's School Health Services, who will share some insights into what we learned last year and how it will keep your kids healthy this year. And that's what we all want, right? Welcome, Camilla.
Thank you for having me on today. Yeah, last year was really atypical. We worked with school districts that were either having students all virtually or had a hybrid model, and then some really were successful in doing all in person, thanks to the COVID-19 protocols that they followed. What we did see is an overall decrease in the number of students that came down to the school clinics with cold and flu-like symptoms. And then when we look at the national data, we actually saw only one pediatric death from the flu reported by the CDC compared to 199 in the previous year.
Wow, I mean that's truly amazing. As a parent who I have a kid heading into school this year, I'm thinking, what can I do to keep my child healthy? I just cringe when I think of the flu. I mean, everything that they could bring home from school.
Yeah, sure. So when we look at our changes that we made last year, our COVID-19 practices really kept kids healthier than they had in the previous years. So despite what might come with COVID in the coming months, we know that we can keep those practices in place and help keep kids illness free. And those recommendations are the following. The first is always hand washing. Kids of all ages should make sure that they're washing their hands. Soap and water is the best bet, but hand sanitizer is a great backup plan. The second one is distancing. So we know that respiratory viruses are passed along when you're in close contact with people. So if you're in any closed, confined spaces, keeping that 3-foot distance is really important if you're able to. The next is masking, of course. So we talk a lot about masking. We know it prevents COVID-19 transmission, but it also helps decrease the transmission of other viruses. So all school districts are going to have different requirements from a masking standpoint. But if you're worried about your child getting sick, you can utilize masks. Disinfecting is another one. Our schools really stepped it up last year, disinfecting more frequently with those high touch surfaces. So we recommend that again this year. We also want to remind kids not to share their school supplies or their sports equipment, especially things like water bottles that have saliva on them. And finally, vaccines. Vaccines are our number one defense against these illnesses. So the flu vaccine is going to become available in the next coming months, and we really recommend it. It is approved for all school-age children. And then the COVID-19 Pfizer vaccine, that's been approved for all children ages 12 and up. So we encourage parents that haven't had their children vaccinated to go ahead and do so now.
Well, we know those precautions can make all the difference, and we've seen it the past year, but we know sick days will happen. So what can parents do to prepare for those days?
Yeah, so we want to make sure you keep those sick kids home. We have really encouraged monitoring those cold and flu-like symptoms with last year and COVID, and we want you to do the same things this year. So we're going to give you that list of symptoms that you really want to watch for, and every school district's a little bit different, but these are a good rule of thumb to have. So you want to consider fever over 100 degrees or chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue or tiredness, muscle or body aches, headaches, new loss of taste or sense of smell, sore throat, any congestion or runny nose, or nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. And then you want to start making those plans so in case your kid needs to stay home, that you have that sick child care available. You can also start stocking up on your favorite medications or comfort items for your kids so that you have those available when they do need to stay home. And then having monitoring devices like a digital thermometer is great.
Camelia, I think you made such a great point. It's so good to have that backup plan heading into the school year. When your child will get sick, that you have that plan in place. So great tips for us to consider. Thank you so much. And for everyone at home, you can call 330-543-1000 or just go online and find them at akronchildrens.org for more information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This segment of It's About You was sponsored by Akron Children's Hospital.